This self-directed learning module is about writing great IEP goals that are rigorous and manageable. The objectives for this module are that participants will be able to discuss the components of a well-written IEP goal, evaluate IEP goals for effectiveness, and write adequate IEP goals from baselines. So let's get started. You've probably all seen a goal like this in IEPs that you've received from previous years. Something like Alex will increase her ability to focus. Now, some things that are wrong with this goal include the fact that there's really no baseline in here. You don't know what her ability to focus was before. There's nothing really that you can measure that would be accurate across multiple settings. So we're going to learn how we would take a goal like this and turn it to a really great goal. To get started, you really need to focus on present levels of performance. So you need to know what the student can do first before you highlight some things for them to work on. So whatever present levels you're required to write, make sure you paint a clear and accurate picture of the student's functioning. Some teachers are only required to write an academic level of performance, but other teachers may be required to write one about social emotional health, self-help skills. There's a variety of present levels, so make sure you know which ones that you are required to write for the IEP and which ones other team members will be writing. So the first step is to relate present levels to annual goals. If you write about a specific challenge for a student, then be prepared to address a solution or goal to improve the student progress in this area. So if you notice that the student has a lot of difficulty with addition and subtraction, make sure that there's a goal for that as well. Again, another thing to help you be more accurate is to use specific numbers. So for a goal during a 30-minute class period, Alex follows verbal directions 60% of the time with no more than 2 teacher cues. So you're giving it a specific time period that is measurable, that other team members who have not observed Alex can still see clearly what's going on. This is really important. I want you to be able to back up opinionated words or with evidence, or leave them out entirely. For example, stating that a student's shy or a bully would not be as informative as stating the behaviors that guided you to this conclusion. Additionally, parents probably aren't going to want to hear these words used with their students, so if you can think of another more accurate way to describe the student's behavior, that's always the best route to go when writing present levels of performance. Finally, don't use guesswork. Don't write your thoughts about why a student may be struggling with a particular area unless you're able to offer specific evidence. So you might not want to say, oh, the student has trouble focusing because they like talking to their friends too much. Different things that you might make a guess about the student without for sure knowing that that's the reason behind their behaviors. So now we're going to move on to the components of a well-written IEP goal. There are 8 components to a well-written IEP goal. And we're going to go over those now, and then there'll be a form for you that shows them again. So first, an IEP goal is focused on the student's area of need. It's meaningful. Will this goal promote growth for the student in the coming year? So it shouldn't only be exclusive to your classroom or one particular situation, but it should make sure that a student is on a path of lifelong success and that this goal will help them to get there. precise? Is your language clear and articulate? So make sure that if you're thinking about it, that your student, if they were to transfer another class, a teacher could easily understand the goal and what is needed for the student to meet this goal. Measurable. Can you measure percentages and rate of completion of this goal? We'll get into that more when we start looking at actual goals, but you want to make sure that there's a way to track this goal clearly. Standards-based. For the majority of your goals, you're going to want to try and root it in academic goals that fit into the general education curriculum. This isn't applicable for all students, but especially in academic goals, you're going to want to try to make them more standards-based. Attainable. Can this goal reasonably be met within one calendar year? So while the student may have a lot of areas of need in a particular subject like math, you're not going to pile on a bunch of goals knowing that it would be hard for them to meet every single one in just one school year. You're going to want to think about what the student can reasonably attain within the time period from this IEP to the next IEP. And ambitious. So this is the other side of the coin. Although you want your goals to be attainable, you also want to make sure that they're rigorous enough to help students access the general education curriculum. So you want to make goals that students can meet, but that they'll have to be working hard to meet. And observable. Can you watch this action being performed? So to measure it. So is it something that would easily be able to be tracked by you or a paraprofessional or another adult in the classroom? So those are the components of a well-written IEP goal, and now we're going to take some time to practice them.